do you know when suicide rates are the highest and when they're the lowest? I'm like, no, I don't know. So, well, during times of war, suicide rates drop. During times of financial crises, suicide
Yeah.
rates go up. And think about that. Like, let that sink in. So you've got an actual physical threat, soldiers on the battlefield risking their life and limb, for their countries. And you see people, they rise to the occasion
Right.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
something very real, right? Like, we're going to war, like, we're going to fight. But then money, which is especially fiat currency, it's not really tangible. It's not real. It's basically like the dollar bill that we have is a promissory note. But people commit suicide for something that is technically, I don't want to say it's not real, but it kind of isn't real, Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Academy for Adventurers podcast. I'm your host today, Mauro, and today we are joined by a wonderful new guest. We're happy to have him on the show, Francisco Correa. How are you, Francisco?
What's going on, everybody? Mauro, thanks so much for having me on your show, brother. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. And he likes to go by Pacho. So, but I don't know if anyone can call him Pacho. Maybe only some people can call him Pacho.
And it's just a surname in Colombia. My name is Francisco. So in Colombia, Mexico, they have either Pancho, Paco, Panchito. In Colombia is without the end. So It's kind of like that. So my dad was Pachito. My grandfather was Don Pacho, and I was Pacho Chiquito, little Pacho. So
I love it.
Now, so now I'm Pachito or Pacho.
So are you? So you're third generation Francisco? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Third generation.
That's nice.
Man.
I always love to see that. I think it's beautiful. I named my son after, he has my first name, but his middle name is my wife's grandfather's name. So we each picked a name for him. Yeah, we wanted to honor both sides of the family. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. I love it.
We'll see what he does, we'll see if we get a third generation Mauro or not. I guess that's up to him.
A little platoon of Mauros running around. Let's go.
We don't need those. We don't need more. All right. Well, Pacho's got a very interesting bio, so I want to go ahead and read it. This is my favorite line. He's a combat-tested Marine, veteran of 21 years of honorable service to this great nation of ours, the US of A. He now helps veterans with their VA claims and benefits as a way to pay it forward. He is now in the financial services sector, helping service members, veterans, professionals, and their families implement strategies to protect their income as well as grow their finances. Francisco loves to exercise and wrestle alligators in his free time. Legitimate? Like, you know how to wrestle alligators?
No, I was just ready for you to read that part.
I mean, well, I'm asking because when I go to the Everglades, I've seen the people do it.
I know.
Yes, the Native Americans, maybe one lost an arm here and there, but they know how to do it.
No. I wish, but I do love to exercise. Like, it's just kind of one of those things that, I did it for many, many years. It's funny, not me, because I never said that, but it's funny that a lot of service members, because it's kind of like what we do. Hey, you come into work, you go PT, physical train, you PT, blah, 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 whatever. So when they're getting ready to get out, they're like, oh man, I can't wait to not be able to, not have to PT. I'm going to get fat and drink and blah, blah. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, do you know how many health issues you're just like stacking yourself up to get when you get to be, later on in life. And it's true. Like, I run into my friends because I still stay in touch and connected. It's like they ate themselves 3 times, bro. It's
Really?
like they blew up. Like, and I was like, dude, you used to be like this young stud, and now you're like this food blister before me. It's like, and it's a lot of bad health. A lot of things are going to be in heart issues. I mean, the list can go on and on. I mean, we were talking about
Yeah. Well,
health stuff earlier.
before we went on air, I mean, I pay attention a lot to whatever health literature I can get my hands on,
Right.
and one of the literatures that has shocked me, and now I think, you know, at least the people that they dedicate their lives to the alcohol literature and the literature around diet, you know, they did a meta analysis of all
Mm.
the alcohol studies, right? So this was the final, the proverbial nail in the coffin. Is alcohol good for you? Is it not good for you? Moderation versus non-moderation, binge drinking, whatever. Okay. They put the nail in the coffin because they took all the studies. They did a meta-analysis. And by the way, when I say all the studies, I mean the ones that were positive, the ones that were really negative, and the ones in between, right?
Right.
And they looked at, in particular, they paid attention to the studies that showed alcohol having positive effects. Now, in at least a couple of those studies, they were completely negated. Why? Because they took a look at the control groups for the studies, and then the placebo group, and then the group that, was subjected to the alcohol. And basically what they found is that they were just comparing sick people to less sick people. So that study is invalid, because how are you going to say alcohol is good for you if you're just saying that this guy's a little bit less sick than the other? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So what they
Right.
found was basically, the long story short is this, and I always encourage people, do your own research, read, and hopefully, listen to people that are very objective in their approach. That's what I try to do. Anyways, any more than 2 drinks a week is linked to permanent damage in the lifetime. That's 2 drinks a week. I mean, before they were saying you could have a drink a day. Now they saying if you have more than 2 drinks a week on a regular basis, if you do that for your entire life, you're going to have permanent brain damage. That shocked me, because my whole life I'm like, hey, a beer here, a beer there, a couple of drinks today. But apparently it's pretty bad. I have completely changed my habits with alcohol just due to that, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, on my dad's side, they were drinkers. The
Mm.
typical Hispanic, and especially growing up in Colombia as a young kid, it was very common for even young kids underage.
Underage.
It's like, oh, adults, oh, hey, have a drink, be a man, especially if you're a man. Be a man, have a drink.
Yeah.
And if you didn't accept it, it was like, yo, your kid is, what's wrong with
What's
your
wrong with your
your son? Is he weird, or what's going on there? So, and I've been one. I had my last drink was on September 12th, 2013.
Oh, wow.
I've been sober ever since.
Holy
Uh,
moly.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and,
14
I
years though.
mean, yeah. So I mean, when you're diagnosed with PTSD, combat PTSD, as well as being predisposed for alcoholism,
Mm.
I used, I too used it for health reasons
Yeah.
as a sleeping aid. Come
Yeah.
to find out, as a matter of fact, studies have shown that no, alcohol does not, in fact, make you sleep better. You can't go, because when you sleep, you go in and out of REM cycles. As a matter of fact, it prevents you from going into deep, deep sleep, and hence why we wake up, oh, we feel groggy and all
The
that stuff. It's
hangover and all that.
so I did for when I went through after when I was getting ready to get out of the military, retire. I just part of my story, and I'm very because I have a podcast too, and I'm very
Yeah.
transparent with my story
Yeah.
because by people seeing, hey, look, this guy walked, he walked through the fire, and he's still here, right?
Mm.
So somebody may find some hope in that, but
Yeah.
I almost committed suicide.
Mm.
There was just I was going through a lot of turmoil. But when I was going through intensive outpatient program, one of the good things that the DoD has finally done at what 11 years ago, no, 12 years ago now, is that they put me through this program, and I learned a lot about drinking. So I was like, oh wow. For me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me is okay. I'm going to go through this program, and when they said, "Hey, you can't drink because you have a disposition," and on top of that, the meds that we're going to put you on, antidepressants, which I'm no longer on because I find other alternative
Good.
ways.
Good.
But and don't say that. Truth be told, I mean, I tried. I was like, well, let me take a little drink, a little sip, a little something. And I was like, oh wow, I feel terrible.
Yeah. It doesn't mix well. Nope.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I just did, because my kids, and by the way, I wasn't an abusive drunk or any of the sort. I mean, but nonetheless, I mean, my kids, even though my kids were still young, they're not dumb, or I mean, they can see that. But I made a promise that, hey, you know what, and they're seeing me like, oh wow, this guy's doing it. So I just don't want to go back on my word as a man and as their
Father.
father. Yeah, that I don't, because there's two things that, in my opinion, somebody told me this. There's two things that make a man a man, my opinion, and which is shared with me.
Let's talk.
It's your word and your balls. You lose either one, you stop being a man. So I just didn't want to lose faith with my kids at
At
the end of
least,
the day.
at least you can. Look, humor is important, man. That's one of the things that as I continue to grow as a coach and basically in all of the projects, it's something that I've tried to incorporate more because I think, particularly at least for me, when I was in my 20s, I think I was trying very hard at being the professional, right?
Right.
Because when you're 20 something, people still look at you like a kid, and I'm very open about my story as well, like I remember going to networking meetings, even some of the groups that you and I both know, and I could tell, I'm like, if you're a 45-year-old professional and you've been in your career for 20, 25 years, and you see a 20 something year old, walk into your room and he's offering a service, you're not going to take him that seriously, and you probably shouldn't, because most of the time, but so I tried very hard at being professional because I wanted to show that I'm not just your average 20 something that is just trying something out as a phase. I'm committing myself to this coaching thing, and I've been a coach ever since I was 18. Now, my style of coaching and the type of coaching services that I've provided have evolved, but I continue staying in that realm,
Hmm.
you know? And what's my
Right.
point in saying that is that I've learned that you don't have to try hard at trying hard, but I think it's when you're 20, you're just trying to make sure people take you seriously. So I would never crack a joke. I would try to, look, always suit and tie. And then someone pulled me aside and he's like, Mauro, like, but that's not you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I like, that's not you, man. Like, you go in there with a three-piece suit and it's like, yeah, you look good, but that's not who you are. And I thought at the time I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now, but I think he was right, and that's why I think I'm so open now to humor, because you don't take yourself too seriously, man. Like, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. Um, the the give a the give a crap factor. I've erased it out of my forehead, so to speak.
It's out of this.
So, oh man, hang on, let me. I do that sometimes, especially when people were out to see. I'm like, oh, hang on, let me just erase this. That. Does it still say that? Uh, but you're right, and I think it comes with a little bit with age, because we do. People get so focused. First of all, I've seen some things in
Yeah, you
life
know.
that just the average person doesn't get to see, and that's okay. That's good. Life is these last, I don't know, 10 years has just been of so much growth. And you're right, we shouldn't take ourselves people get focused on titles, on this, on that. You know, life is too short because you never know when the good Lord is going to call us, home.
Yeah.
And regardless of the type of diet that we have, the how much exercise we do, whatever. I mean, granted, we do want to prolong it and live a health and leave somewhat healthy out of this world. But nonetheless, I mean, heck, I could be walking my dog, get hit, whatever. So, you just want to make it as memorable as possible, and don't take yourself too seriously. I mean, the last thing, you don't want people to say, "Man, that guy was, blah blah blah." I mean, they're gonna say nice things about you, but it's like, man, in reality, that guy was a
Yeah.
total prick. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something to be said about that because I remember hearing recently one of the people that I listen to a lot. His name is Matt Fradd. He has a pretty large YouTube channel called Pints with Aquinas. It's a very similar to this podcast, very conversational. And recently he said something that I've thought of for a long time. He just worded it a little bit better than I did. But basically, he said something along the lines of, we're constantly living as if we're not there yet. Like, oh, this is not the real life. Like this, what I'm going through right now, like this is just like the intermittent show. Like this is just the how do I say, it's the interim. It's it's like between act one and act two. It's neither or, right?
Right.
And we
Yeah,
live
that's good.
like
Yeah.
that. Like we live like, okay, well, I'm gonna be happy when I get here. My life is gonna be, man, when I get this thing or when I'm here, like that's when I'm really gonna be. And we're just like disregarding the fact that no, like where you are right now, like this is your life, like this is your act, like dress up, buddy, because this is not dress rehearsal. Like this is the real deal. Like your life is happening now, and so you've gotta. When I heard that, I'm like, yeah, like stop holding your happiness hostage, or stop like prolonging stop prolonging something that doesn't need to be prolonged. Like just like take it in now, you know? Take it in now. Because you don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen in 5 minutes, let alone tomorrow. Does that mean you shouldn't plan? No.
Right.
But
There you go.
there's a wisdom, there's a balance, right?
Of course.
But
Yeah.
but like you can't put all your eggs in tomorrow's basket, right? Like you've got to still, keep a couple eggs for today. And it's like if you happen to be 2 hours behind on your schedule, or if something didn't go your way, or you have to change something because your wife or your kid needs something, don't don't get your panties in a knot, bro. Like just live. I find myself like being more patient with myself, just as a way to enjoy life and not have everything be like, like I'm constantly having to like hang myself with stress. I don't know what you think about that, but
No, you're right. I mean,
yeah.
a lot of us, I call that, or I'm sure you heard the term destination addiction. The next
Destination
hot,
addiction. I like it. I like that phrase.
yeah,
Talk to me
yeah.
about that.
Well, think about it. We'll be happy with the next house, the next job, the next car, the next, the next venture, the next dot dot dot, the next whatever. And yes, human beings, we have this. Yes, our frontal lobe is one, the largest out of all the mammals, and we have this ability of being able to not also logic and cognitive think, and also analyze risk, but it's a slippery slope, because yes, while we can plan for the future and also analyze the past, we go back and forth between future and past, and the hardest thing for us to do is to be here in the present, in the moment, enjoy it now. Case in point, a deer grazing out on the plains, it's eating grass, having a thing. Cougar jumps out of nowhere, starts chasing him, the deer is like, running. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! The cougar, cougar can't catch him. Cougar says, hey, you know what? Forget that guy. I'm just gonna try to go chill somewhere
I
else.
got the other one.
Yeah, and now the deer is like, oh, no more danger. I'm back at eating grass, and it's done. The moment is gone.
Mm.
What do we do? It's like, oh no, I'm sad now because look, oh my god, the cougar almost got me. I have PTSD. Oh my god, and we keep, and it's like, oh, but maybe if I have this, maybe if so that's
Yeah.
the issue that we have. So we have destination addiction, and we keep going back and forth.
Destination. I haven't used that phrase. I like it quite a bit. The one that I've heard that is similar to that, albeit a little bit different, is summit fever, where it's like
I never heard that one.
okay, so
No.
summit fever is a little bit different, but basically it's the idea of you're familiar with business concepts, like sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So it's very similar because it's like you've invested so much time and energy into insert X enterprise.
Right.
Like we used to say, right? Too big to fail, right? Like you can't let Chrysler fail, you can't let the banks fail, blah, 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 right? And you just keep going, you keep going, you keep going. So Summit Fever is basically like no matter what, I have to make it. Like I gotta get to the summit. And people have died from doing that. And when I
Yeah,
refer to
yeah,
summit fever, I'm talking about people that actually they go for Everest, they go to the Himalayas, they go even the Rocky Mountains, people have died, even here in the USA. Right? So that is something that I struggle with a lot, is because you don't want to be viewed as a quitter. Right? Like you don't want people, oh look at it, he quit when it got hard. But there are genuine things that, like, you don't have to die on a hill for everything, brother. And I find myself sometimes dying on hills that is not even necessary to even die there. It's like, and it's
yeah.
like we do that to ourselves. But particularly, like, and one of the reasons why I was interested to talk to you, particularly about financial strategy and how you help families, is there was a statistic that I don't know if you know this, but it shocked me. It was shown to me years ago by a coach of mine. And he said, Mauro, do you know when suicide rates are the highest and when they're the lowest? I'm like, no, I don't know. So, well, during times of war, suicide rates drop. During times of financial crises, suicide
Oh
rates
yeah.
go up. And think about that. Like, let that sink in. So you've got an actual physical threat, soldiers on the battlefield risking their life and limb, for their countries. And you see people, they rise to the occasion
Right.
for
Yeah, yeah.
something very real, right? Like, we're going to war, like, we're going to fight. But then money, which is especially fiat currency, it's not really tangible. It's not real. It's basically like the dollar bill that we have is a promissory note. But people commit suicide for something that is technically, I don't want to say it's not real, but it kind of isn't real. And like,
Yeah, it has intrinsic value, and it's
that's what I mean. But people will die for something intrinsic, which I find very interesting, as opposed to not dying for something extrinsic. I found that very fascinating. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
no. I mean, I know, patriotism does go up, and actually, the economy does thrive from conflict. Why? Production goes up, manufacturing. I prior to being in the financial services, I was also in the safety field, and so we get to track a lot of manufacturing. We track a lot of things in that realm. I still have you could say, my thumb somewhat still in that heartbeat, because I still consult and I help people with if they have questions in that realm. Yeah. So that being said, during those times, manufacturing goes up, all those things, everybody's like, hoorah, get some, America, all that good stuff. And but when the economy is bad, that there's that other aspect where obviously inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. As the cost of goods. So the price of so it's found. We track also the consumer price index. The price of a basket of food and everything else. So I mean, imagine when people are struggling, and because I've seen it, and I talk to people all the time. I'm working with a client right now. It's like, hey, I'm in my 70s. I only have $20,000 left in my account.
What
Uh,
am I gonna do?
Medicare. I mean, Social Security is not enough. What am I going to do? And it's like, well, let's see what we can do. I mean, I can do some amazing things, but I can't. I can't do.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't do magic. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, I can't do magic, right?
Like so, but
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, I can, yeah,
I mean,
I
look,
can totally see that.
I'm very public about all the wins and losses that I've had, and whether if it's financial with health, like I think that when you're about to have a kid and you realize that you know the hospital bills alone are in the tens of thousands of dollars, and it's stressful, and I always tell people, oh, people get stressed out because they lose their job, and of course it's a stressful thing, but thanks to the fact that my wife lost her job last year, we were able to get some help from Medicaid. So it's like, it's interesting. I always say that, there's a phrase in Spanish, and I'm sure you know it. No hay mal que por bien no venga. Like there's no bad circumstance that a
Yeah,
good thing will not come out of it. And that was one of the examples. It was a
yeah.
huge help to us at the time, and I'm
Everything
very
happens for a
thankful.
reason.
Everything happens, and that's why I'm very thankful that we happen to live in a country where they can help families when they're going through tough times, and so there's definitely something to be said about that. But I understand the stresses that come with that, But at the end of the day, honestly, what got us through that was number one, faith, and number two, saying, we'll figure it out. And we did. You know, God sent a client here, God sent a project there. People that hadn't talked to me in a long time reached out to me and they say, hey, look, like, can you do this for me? And it's just like all of a sudden, the business took a very big growth that came out of nowhere. I was like, great, So there's always, as long as you don't quit, sometimes I think you have to be wise, because sometimes you have to take a look when you have to back down and when you have to step up. It's not
Mm.
easy sometimes making those choices. But I know for a fact that if I would have been doing anything else, I would not have had the flexibility to take on certain projects that would have increased my income at that rate if I would have had a traditional 9 to 5. Now I've taken a lot of risks as an entrepreneur, taken many risks, and I still take them now. But what I'm trying to say with all of that is that, when you're in a bad circumstance, just don't let it get the best of you, because there's always a way. There's always a way out, and there's always a way through.
And it's weird that we're having this conversation. I have somebody very close to me going through some tough times right now.
Mm.
Now, there's a huge age gap between this person and I. So obviously, I've seen things, I've done things. Whether you're entrepreneur or working at a corporate job, doesn't matter. Life is gonna life it is gonna
Life
is
is
gonna
gonna
life
life its way
itself.
through, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have your ups, your downs. So that being said, it's like, hey, look, we have this romantic view of, I thought I was by this time I
Yeah.
was gonna be doing this, or that I was gonna have XYZ, blah blah blah, but it didn't work out. And it's like, well, although we can try to plan and strategize and whatever else, sometimes things are going to happen that may not derail us completely, but kind of sway us a little bit. And okay, but it's just to test our resilience, and that's how you build. Okay, hey, you know what? I had this adversity, I overcame it. Now I'm good. Maybe I can coach myself or somebody else to do the same thing, whatever. Because life is not perfect. It ain't gonna be. You just gotta let. Sometimes if we let things go, whether you believe in God or the universe, whatever, let it go, and the universe and God is just gonna, hey, we got you. You're gonna be okay. You know, I mean, and that's the approach that I've always taken, and I'm still here. Life is good. Could I have more? Heck yeah. I mean, let's go. But I know I'm still not done, and I got a lot more to get and a lot more to give.
And I think also too, like, one of the difficult things of living in this era is that we live in a time where there are things that are public that maybe shouldn't be.
Yes.
And there's that's a whole can of worms, but I brought that up for one reason in particular. Because before, you weren't exposed to, like, the only people that you were exposed to that maybe you saw that were extraordinary were actors, athletes, and musicians. Like,
Mhm.
those were the
Yeah.
stars, right?
Right. And their
And,
life was very private too.
and your
We
life
didn't
was
need to
very
know.
private.
We didn't need to know.
Yeah, right.
All the trash that comes with it.
But now that even even in any field now, there a lot of people at the top, they're very public. They have their podcasts, they have their shows, people, I see people on TikTok and I'm like, why are there 3,000 people watching you? You're just making silly, but some people like it. Okay. But
Like
what
that.
what it's done, what that has done is that it has warped our expectations of certain things in life, and it's having us compete with phantoms, and that's not how we were meant to live. Like, you had your village, you had your town, you had your city, and there were, my parents told me, like, my parents met a friend of a friend, a blind date, you know and that's how it was. Now it's like, you've got apps, there's thousands of men, thousands of women. Everyone's racing to the top. Everyone wants the one who has the most money or has the biggest butt, or everyone is going to the top of everything. And everyone thinks they can be number one. But that's not true, because there's only one number one. But I'm finding that, like, we're trying to fight this endless race while we're missing out on just living now, right? And that's something that, honestly, I've slowed down, because I'm like, it wasn't worth it. I'm like, right now I have a wife, I have my kid, I've got my clients, I've got the show. I just want to live, and I want to provide value to people. Like, I just want to be genuine and help people. I don't care if they have 1 million, 2 million, 0, 5, like, but it took me a while to get there. And I think that I heard someone say, and this is a really important lesson, is that there are many unteachable lessons in life. And I think that money is one of them. You can't teach that to someone. Like, you have to go through it. Because everyone thinks, going to back to what you said, if I get the car, if I get the house, if I have the pool, if I have the penthouse, but then you have these people now very publicly. This is one of the benefits of having people being public. And they're saying, no, 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 it's not what you think. But then there's people in the comments saying, well, that's easy for you to say because you have it all. I have nothing. How dare you, be so selfish and say that with all you have, you're not, it wasn't fulfilling to you. So it's a double-edged sword,
Yeah, yeah,
is
of
what I
course. I
feel
mean,
like.
no, and everything is, and it's all about perspective. And by the way, I mean, truth be told, I'd rather be ultra mega rich, me crying,
In a
whatever. Hey,
Ferrari.
you know what? Let me just cry as I'm driving my Lamborghini to the beach, whatever. I mean, hell, I mean, let's call it for what it is.
Let's be honest. I mean, we don't want to
But
be. No one wants to live under a bridge. I mean,
exactly. However, I will say this: happiness is not in the next thing. I mean, it can to some degree, but it's not in the next thing, the next house, and this, that. It's a state of mind and it's a chemical reaction. The only thing, so when I get up in the morning, at that, regardless externally of what's going on around me, the weather, the world could be ending. I have a choice at that moment what type of day I'm going, this guy's going to have. It could be in here, sunny, birds are chirping, everything is beautiful, rainbows, butterflies, unicorns, you name it. Maybe a little bit of arequipe, because that's caramel in Colombia.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Everything is awesome. Outside, pandemonium, zombies are attacking us. We're in a foxhole, whatever. So, and they've done studies, that they've interviewed other combat service members where they were sitting in a foxhole, and one guy's like, hey, everything is cool, no big deal, whatever, radio check, we're good. And the other guy's like, oh my god, broken arrow, it's crazy out here, blah blah. So it's all about perception. So,
yeah,
and that is the only thing we can control.
yeah,
Change
yeah,
your perception, change your process.
yeah. Viktor Frankl, he wrote that famous book,
Hmm.
which now is a very famous book, Man's Search for
Yes, yes.
a lot of people.
What is it?
Man's
Man's
Search for
meaning of.
Meaning.
Yes, Man's Search for Meaning. Love that book.
It's a great book.
Read it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and that's good, and you should read it again because I read it twice, and it's kind of like
Great book.
I think that different things. I notice this when I read the Bible a lot too. Different things will stand out to you depending on what phase of life that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see certain things now if you read that book probably that you didn't see before. That's
Mm.
what I found in my second rerun of Man's Search for Meaning. Because I first read the book when I was like a fresh, like out of coaching school life coach. I was like
Okay.
24, 25. Then I read it again when I was 31. And it was like a completely different experience, right? Even in just 6 or 7 years, it was completely different experience. Because it's just one of those things that it's like, again, going back to the unteachable lessons. Like you can't, like you can conceptually understand something. I can empathize with you if I haven't been through a situation, but I'm not going to have the full grip of it. Like, I'm sure that if you tell me a story from your service, like I'll understand it, but I wasn't there. So I'm not going to
Right.
have the full 360 understanding of like what it was like to be in the environment. There's a difference there, right? Like I can conceptually understand something, but unless I fully lived it, I'm still going to see it through an incomplete lens. But now that I went through some stuff, I'm like, okay, now I understand why my mom had a challenging time cooking and taking care of me and why sometimes the food got burnt. Now I get it because now it happened to me and I'm like, oh, of course, because mom was doing 3 things at once. So was I. Now, what's ironic, so am I now. What's ironic is that I like things that are slightly burnt, which is really funny now. I like things that are very crispy. But my mom said, Mauro, that wasn't on purpose. That happened because I got distracted. I'm like, well, I like it anyways, so it was fine to me. But now I get it. because yeah, being a parent is rough. Like, it's rough. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, but now I understand more than just the concept. Now I've lived it. Now I fully get it. Like, okay. Now I know what you mean. Now I know what you meant.
I'm not sure if you heard this analogy to your point. I don't think it's an analogy. But I've heard this story in different venues. The whole about the burn food and like it crispy and whatever. So this family, they were having Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving, and they were cooking a piece of ham, and before they the lady cooking the ham, she would cut the end and throw it away, and then put the ham in the oven. And so her husband, after some years, is like, "Hey, why do you do that?" He goes, "I don't know. My mom used to do it." And, so she went and asked her mom, I said, "Mom, why do you always, when we were growing up and during Thanksgiving, you cut the ham, the end, and you throw it out? Why did you do that?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know. Your grandma always used to do it." So I went to grandma, and grandma, when they asked her, grandma laughed and she said, "Well, the reason being is that we didn't have much back then, so we couldn't afford a big oven. So we bought a 24-inch small oven, so the ham couldn't fit in the oven. So we would cut the end, and so that way the ham could fit inside of the oven. We could have Thanksgiving dinner." So the point being is that you could see it as two different ways. Sometimes we pass on certain things that kind of create that ripple. In your case, hey, you know what? I do like my fern with a little crisp on it, a little burn here and there. Or it can also be seen as that, hey, you know what? We can also pass on traumas and things as parents, to our future. So we never know. So that's like to your point is, hey, you know what? We got to be careful sometimes how we act as a parent and things like that. Now that you're in that mirror, because our kids, our kid will start mirroring us as they grow up. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It makes absolute sense. I mean, even now at 3 months, the kid, like, the kid is, well, the pediatrician told us today that at 3 months, the kid's vision is crystal clear. So he can see
Nice.
color, he can see everything. It's not like before that he kind of saw blobs and only some. Now he can see everything. And what's interesting is that the way that he looks at me, the way that he scans the environment, the way that he grabs things, everything, it's like it's vastly different than what he was at 3 weeks ago. Now I picked
Mm,
up on that. I'm very observant. I think it's because I'm a coach. I pay attention, right?
right.
And so I noticed that. I'm like, it's like a switch went off. And some people claim, and I don't want to discredit them because I mean, I don't know if they would have reason to lie. But some people claim that they have memories from when they were very, 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 very little. Like even before it would make sense. Maybe it's a feeling, but all I can say is they notice more than what we think. Even
Of
now,
course.
they notice more than what we think. We look at them, oh, he won't remember this. Well, maybe he will. It's like that's why you gotta be careful with what you say and what you do and how you act because I mean, I think my earliest memory that I can place reliably was between 2 and 3, you know? And according to most people, that's pretty early. Now, I've heard people that claim that they've had memories from when they were babies, you know? So all we can do is do the best that we can, you know? I think
Yeah.
that's something that we have to be extra careful with because whether or not they will remember is is not the point. But as a coach, I know that now is the best time for you to start or stop anything. Because it kind of goes back to kind of like the central theme of today's conversation, which has been like the present. right? That's just a theme that I guess naturally you and I have gravitated towards. And
Hmm.
and we can talk more about that in relation to financial habits as well, because sometimes people will say, "Well, I'll wait until next year," you know?
I'm
But
glad
what
that
do
you
you
brought that up.
think about the power of now when it comes to consulting your clients, like when it comes to how they should be financially? Like, where do you think that comes into the conversation?
No, and it's fun. It's great that you mentioned that because I see it all the time, and we and I'm not pumping my company up. I mean, I've done other
Straight up,
business.
bro. Like,
I've been a business owner. I, I've I've done many other things. I will say that out of all the companies and the models, I this one I loved it because we train and educate people, and it's true. Going back to passing our own fears and everything else. We also pass on our lack of knowledge, financial knowledge. Dude, I grew up in a time. My grandfather, swear to God, my grandfather would hide money. I grew up in Medellin, Colombia, and my grandfather used to work playing. How do you say in English? Serenatas.
oh,
You know when
he would play at night, like he would play as a traveling musician, like he would play at restaurants.
like you can hire him and him
So like
and his
mariachi.
friends. Yeah, like serenading people.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
serenade.
yeah, yeah.
Not mariachi music, but just
Not the
Colombian old
type of,
school
but
music.
that type of service that, like,
Correct.
yeah.
And he was also he's actually a recording artist.
Mm,
My mom's side, they get royalties, but he
that's
used
cool.
to hide his money in the mattress.
Yeah.
My mom would tell me that, hey, when he would be working at night, we would go in there and take out money because he was cheap as well to pay the bills and whatever else. Typical Hispanic, male from that time frame. So we pass on our lack of knowledge, financial, and distrust. There's a lot of distrust with the bank and everything. So I'm talking to the client. And by the way, if I'm helping them with a life insurance policy that's like $30, $40, whatever, which by the way, people think that, oh, insurance people, man, they're like
They
out
must
there
be like,
making a
they
killing.
must be millionaires, right?
It's all on volume and we help people,
It's
but
on
on
Bob.
$30 and I'm trying to do right by you. And then you're telling me that, oh no, I need to think about it, whatever, or with my finances, and I've shown you that, hey, you invest in the, this is not a recommendation, I have to say this,
Yeah,
but if you're
for your
putting money
life.
in the S&P 500 or whatever else in your Roth IRA, if you do this, XYZ years, this is what it could potentially look like based on past performance of those accounts. And it's like, hey, I could get you off and you're going to pay off your debt. Why wouldn't you move forward? Hey, I need to think about it. It's like, dude, 6 months are gonna go by. Next, like to your point, a year is gonna go by. You're still gonna be in the same situation where you could have been a year, 6 months to a year ahead.
Yeah.
You know, investing, putting something away for your children, having a policy. God forbid the good Lord calls you home. Now your family has to put out a Venmo or a GoFundMe link on social media because a policy that would have cost you two movie tickets and maybe a small thing of
A small
popcorn.
soda of popcorn, whatever.
Yeah, because now movie tickets are like $20, dude.
Yeah.
It- it's insane. I mean, that could have set you apart, but you weren't open for that at the moment. I mean, and you're
Yeah.
right. I mean,
I mean, I
there's
think
some
one of the things that I've learned, and I think this is something that applies to both of our fields, is that one of the things that I've learned a lot from sales coaching is you want to handle those objections if you can in the moment. I
right.
heard, like, I would say, what like if you don't mind sharing, like, what is it that you have to think about? Like, I would just ask them. Like, I'm not saying how you do, I'm not saying for you how do you do your job, but what I'm
Right,
saying is
right.
that, like, I think that sometimes we have to challenge people in the moment, because I've had people say, "Well, I want to get coached by you, but let me talk to my wife first." I'm like, "Okay, can we get her on the line?" Like, I'll be a little pushy, and the reason why is because I want to know, as a service provider, I want to know whether or not you really want this or not, because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine, you know?
Right.
And I
when
don't,
people,
yeah, because I don't want you, because if there is a chance, particularly with what you offer, like if there's a chance that this will, because we all know the stories. I mean, I know the stories because I've had the pleasure of meeting people in your field that are very honest and genuine, and they'll say, man, like this client, like if they would have just had the gap policy, that when they got cancer, like the whole thing would have been taken care of. It would have footed the whole bill for 30, $40 a month, but they didn't sign up for it, or they canceled it and they got cancer like 3 months later. So it's like, but that doesn't work for some people. It's like you have to like get them in the moment, And I've been able to turn some no's into yeses. But
I'd rather work with a no than let me think about it and
yeah,
whatever. And at that point,
yeah,
I always sell the exit in the sense that, look, because I want them to be more receptive and open. Because every time I get on a call or whatever, like,
people are right. They're very guarded.
What's
They're
this dude
very
gonna
guarded.
sell me? And it's like,
They're
hey,
very
look,
guarded. Oh yeah.
I was like, hey, dude, oh, I need to talk to my wife. Oh, great, 100%. You gotta make it. Wouldn't want you to make something that doesn't align with her and everything. By the way, let me ask you this: what is it that I can send you an email that can that will align with her, so that she'll be, after she sees it, she's like, oh my God, 3 times yes, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
What is that we can provide her, so that way I can send you the right information that time. Oh, then they tell me the truth. Oh,
then
well, it's this.
That's right, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Is a lot of people will put false reasons,
Yeah,
as opposed to, and I understand. I mean, we're guarded for reasons because people have, like, I remember I have one story which, well, I have several stories that I have gotten in trouble because I was naive. But the one story I will share right now, because I understand why people are sometimes guarded. I remember I was with my mother and we were getting service for the car. It was just her and I, And there were these two guys that noticed that there was a dent on the car. Now, I already knew that fixing the dent was going to be pretty pricey. And they came and, like snake oil salesmen, like, oh man, we've got hey, we saw you have a dent, we've got the tools in the trunk, like for just $300, like we'll make it like new. And my mom was like, Mauro, I don't know. Like, I'm like, but mom, but it's so, it's like, well, let's do it. Let's give it a chance. I was like, but Mauro, I don't know. And then, like, whatever. They did a half-ass job,
Yeah.
And then that was my first lesson in, like, okay, you can't believe everything everyone says, and you have to filter. So I understand why sometimes people come into conversations guarded. Yeah. I get it.
We bring our past traumas, and that's how we get this, based on, because our mind is
wired to defend.
Right. Yeah, it's a data bank of past experiences. So you're like, based on that past experience, I think I'm gonna get scammed on this one because it's similar to that. It sounds too good.
Right. Yeah, or it sounds too good. A lot of people will say, well, it sounds too good to be true, right? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, fair enough, But I think that's does that show up for you, like, on a regular basis? Like, is that something that you have to contend with often, or is that just kind of like an every now and then?
I mean, I would say, objection. An objection, all it is just a misunderstanding. Either something that you miscommunicated or that they misheard. And that's why you got to ask questions. Hey, look, let me ask you. And then when you ask questions, then you can get to the root behind that concern, address it, and provide feedback and whatever. But there's also a time that you just got to walk away. It's like, okay, you know what? This right here. And I've done this before. I say, hey, let me ask you this. Instead of let me think about it or whatever else. Why not just say no, and let's save ourselves and then unnecessary call next week, 20, 30 minutes that you can put your time for something much more value. Why not that? Oh no, bro, because porque yo no blah blah blah. Then they're like, no, no, and that could go two ways.
It
They're
can go
like, oh,
one of
and then
two ways, right?
yeah, I'm back. Then we're back in the conversation, or if not, they're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm like, okay, great. You know what? Do you mind if I follow up in a few months, just to check up on you and see how you're doing? Yeah, sure, great. Okay, have a nice life. Click done. Because our time is important. So, and they have to, because they think that, oh yeah, this guy's a coach. No, I don't need a coach. Blah blah. By the way, I'm a huge proponent for coaching, and anybody, if you're going to sell yourself
Yeah.
to the next level, get somebody. Hey, Michael Jordan had, what's his name, Phil. What was the coach of the Bulls during 80s and 90s? I mean, I'm dating myself, but Phil, he was just inducted in the Hall of Fame. Everybody
Was it
needs to
Bailey?
coach. Huh?
Was Bailey the last name? No, it wasn't.
No,
Bailey.
it's Phil something.
Okay.
I'll look it up. But
Well, I also I know who you're talking about, though. I mean, he's very famous, obviously, because
right,
he was the
I
coach
just
to one
can't.
of the greatest NBA's player. Some people consider him the greatest, depending on who you ask. I know there's a
Right,
debate between him and LeBron, but you cannot argue that he's not one of the
sure.
greatest, at least.
Right. So the point being is that everybody needs coaching. Everybody, if you're going to take yourself to the next level in whatever field you may be, hey, just like believe it or not, I danced ballet growing up. My mom was a choreographer, all that stuff. So, or you could play whatever. Just because you played a good sport and you were great at it doesn't mean that you're going to be a coach. You could be a good coach or whatever, and vice versa. So some people teach, some people coach. Doesn't necessarily that whatever, but because the way they can communicate and put things together, they explain a way we're like, oh, that makes sense. Let me execute.
Well,
So
we know for a fact that it's a different skill set. When I was growing up, one of the phrases that I heard a lot was those who can't do teach. That that never sat well with me. And the reason why that never sat well with me is because I saw people that could do both.
right,
So
yeah, of
I'm like,
course, no, yeah,
okay, first of all, that blanket statement, it can't be black and white because I know people that can do and teach. So that I already started to kind of discredit that. And then
right,
what I realize is that there are those that teach so well that
exactly.
that they can help people in ways that the pro player cannot, because there have been certain athletes that have tried coaching and they're just terrible because they
Right.
they cannot articulate, like, oh, you just have to feel it. It's like, what the hell does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
you gotta
Yeah.
feel it, right? It's like,
And look at perfect example, Maradona. When Maradona became the coach for the Argentinian national team, Maradona, one of the
yeah,
next to Pele, Maradona. I mean,
all
so
right,
I
right.
could go.
Well, yeah,
I grew
in
up watching
Naples,
them.
mira, in Napoli, if you go to Napoli, Maradona is like the second most sold image in the entire city of Naples. It's basically, you see the Pope and Maradona. It's like he's for Napoli, he's like almost like a demigod, right? Because you were
Right.
that level of a player, right?
Hell
But
of a
that doesn't
player.
always translate, right?
Nope.
Yeah,
Terrible. I mean, you can look at the World Cup when he was coaching. They did not do well.
yeah,
So, but don't get what I said, and I hope the audience don't take it out of context what I said
right,
earlier, because
right,
there could be that whole, hey, those who can teach, that's bullshit. It's
right,
it's basically because it could go any way. Like you said, there's those that they can put it in a way much better, that, hey, if you execute like this, oh, hey, thanks coach, boom, let's go, bam. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm too focused on the mission, and that I just don't have time to think. I just, hey, tell me, hey, you want me to do like that? Roger that.
right,
Let's go. Boom.
right. Well, you
So
understand that also because of your time in service. I mean, I think you have to, because there's a chain of command and there's a reason why there are
right.
certain
Oh yeah.
people that are better suited for certain positions, and hopefully everyone's where they have to be. where they can shine the most. I know that doesn't always happen, but you hope that. Well, I have two cousins that were both in the army, and they share with me positive and negatives. And oftentimes they said, honestly, it just depended. They would tell me, Mauro, honestly, it just depends on what base they were sent to, because they would have
Yeah.
night and day experiences. They would go
Yeah,
from
yeah.
having a fantastic chain of command, very supportive leadership, to like getting moved, and then all of a sudden it's like, they're dealing with issues that it's like,
No, and you're right. I mean, that could be a double-edged sword. And believe me, I've worked for commanders that are, man, I would
you
follow
would
this
die for
dude
them, right? Yeah, like,
all the way through,
yeah,
take that hill, whatever. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
and then I've worked for other guys like, man, this guy's like just a goddamn blooming onion. Shit, Yeah, my buddy. Shout out to my buddy Scott Gilman, who used that term all the
blooming
time.
onion.
But but look, at the end of the day, even that guy or gal, they're the ones on that hot seat. I have to support them,
Right.
through and through, because every decision that they make, the cost of that decision, and that's with anybody in life, even with that, even if that coach was just an idiot, even Maradona wasn't the best, he the decisions that he was making, I gotta support him, whatever the case may be, because you never know, the impact or the severity or the outcome, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to live with that burden for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're familiar with Jocko Willink and his work. I'm sure
Oh,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that guy,
Fantastic dude.
okay, so you know him. He's like the one of the best leadership. I know he's not. I know coach is probably not the best title for him, but a lot of the work he does is used in coaching because
Yeah.
of his book Extreme Leadership. I mean, because obviously he's consulted with everyone. I mean, he's consulted with
Yeah.
every major brand, or at least a lot of them. And
Right.
and honestly, one of the main things that I learned from him, from watching him, from reading him, is just that, like what I told you before our call. I'm like, look, my part-time employee yesterday, he had his day off, but I should have stepped in and followed up with you. So it's like, I think I learned that from him. It's like, don't blame, don't excuse, don't put your burdens on other people. You can acknowledge that it was their responsibility, but ultimately, if you're the one that's leading the ship, and you got to be the one that says, hey, you know what, honestly, I should have done that, I'm sorry, like at least take ownership for it. And that stuck with me. I emulate that whenever I can, especially now that I've got two people working under me, and they're younger, like they're in their like early 20s. So I'm also trying to show them good lessons, right?
Right.
So I don't want them to see someone that is not capable of taking responsibility and like, oh, he threw us under the bus. It's like, I don't want that, because I don't want that to be their experience. And I learned that from him. It's like when he shared that story of that operation, that he shares that story all the time. It's a very good story. But long story short, he shares that one instance where he had this one operation and there was some friendly fire. And no one wanted to take responsibility. And he's like, he took it, and he got chewed out for it. But the respect, that he got from his commanding officer from saying, I was about to like can everyone in that room. But since you stepped up and you took ownership, the outcome was completely different. And I thought that was a great example of what happens when you just step up and don't just try to point fingers all the time.
Yeah, it's accountability, man. You just got to be accountable.
Yeah.
Regardless of what, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're going to be a leader in life, a father, or whatever else, just be a man of your word and be accountable. Doesn't matter. Be a man or a woman. Doesn't matter. I'm just using the man as
right.
As
that's fine, bro.
So.
We're not crazy here.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hey, for those of you, don't get your pronouns
Look,
all
no, no,
all in
look,
your.
no. Well, one of the things too that I've learned is that I have to be genuine, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. One of the things I've noticed, and for anyone here who's aspiring to do work on YouTube or anything, is you'll make your best content when you are the most enthused, when you show the most enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is very hard to fake. The only people who can fake enthusiasm are people like Ted Bundy, the psychopath. They're the only ones that can fake it. If you're not a psychopath, you can't fake enthusiasm. It's very hard. I've noticed that when I speak about things that I truly believe in, when something lights a fire in me, that's what gets the most views. That's what gets the most follow up because I'm speaking about something that I care about. And I don't want to be disingenuous, not only because of the views and all that, but I also don't want to, if I'm going to be in this line of work, if I'm going to use this platform and put something forward, I want it to be something that when I put my head on the pillow at night, like I can sleep in peace, you know? And
Yeah.
look, I might be wrong. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm trust me, I'm the first person that knows that I can put my foot in my mouth and I can say really dumb things. I know that. But
Right.
if I didn't do it with intention and I didn't do it with malice, then I can sleep well at night. And that's why I tell people like I never wanted this show to be something where like if you and I disagree, no problem, bro. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
okay.
okay. You know, but
Yeah.
but I'm not afraid to say, nah, it's like again, going back to the humor, like we don't have to be so you know, tight knit.
Yeah. Calm down, Karen. It
Calm
ain't
down,
that bad.
Karen. Well, and you have to do this, I'm sure, because you're dealing with people's money sometimes. So I know
Yeah.
people
Oh
can be
yeah.
very defensive on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's hey, look. I mean, and that's okay. It's not a priority right now. I've learned, and it's true. It's not that we don't. People give you uh the other objects, time, skill, or time skill. And what's the other thing? I can't think of it right now. I don't have time. I'm not a salesperson, and
Or I can't
I
afford it.
forgot the. I don't have the money.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's none of those three things. It's just that it's not a priority. Whenever somebody says, "Hey, I don't have time to do whatever," it's not. You have time. I have 24 hours. You got 24 hours, dude. It's just that it's not a priority because I bet you that if I handed you the keys to a brand new red Ferrari outside and all you had to pay was $150
You'd pay it, right?
and you only had $100 in the bank, you would jump through hoops to get the other
For the
50
other
so you
person.
can drive that car.
Or
Just like,
or the other
go ahead.
example, I'm going to say this too because I think it's one that resonates with a lot of people. Like how many of you right now watching this YouTube video would not like completely drop this and go do something else if you found out like if you got a call and they call you that said your mom's in the hospital. Like I don't care what you're doing. You're probably going to drop everything.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't matter if you're in a meeting, it doesn't matter if you're in a sales call, it doesn't matter if you're driving to Orlando. Like you're probably, if you love your mom, hopefully you do. Hopefully you had a good mom, but you're probably gonna drop everything and go be with your mother. You know, like
Exactly. So you make it a priority.
you make
So,
it goes to the top of the list, right? If my wife called me right now, she says, "Babe, Mauro and I, if I saw my caller ID and my wife calls me 3 times, I know it's an emergency. So like we have that code, right? Like I'm
right.
gonna drop anything because I know it's something, right? And so like that's my point. It's you're so right. Like you're gonna with whatever you deem important, you're gonna find a way.
You're going to make it happen.
Make it
You're
happen.
going to make it happen.
Unless
So,
unless you have like serious like and I'm talking like serious health or serious detrimental challenges. But barring that, you're gonna make it happen, you know?
right. And even then, and just kind of to finish up on that point, is it becomes a priority now. Hey, I just had a heart attack. Now I can't. oh, now I'm going to change,
But yeah,
the
now
way
I'm
I
gonna
eat.
not eat the cheeseburger, right? Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mr. So and So, he just got lung cancer. Oh, well, shit, I'm gonna stop eating, stop smoking, or whatever that may
What
be. So
in
it becomes a
right.
priority when, on the other flip side, when it's an emergency or something like, so, that's the way it is, man.
It is. Is there this has been a very stimulating, very powerful conversation.
Man, this has been an amazing conversation, bro.
Is there anything that we didn't cover today that you'd like to cover?
No, I think we pretty much, we hit on a plethora. I love saying that word, plethora of subjects that anybody can relate to. At the end of the day, is that make when you're born, it's your birthday. When you die, it's your the day you pass away, you died, and your entire life on a tombstone is summed up on that little dash. That's your entire life right there. Make that dash count.
Make it count. Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you, Francisco, how can they get in touch with you?
That's easy. I'm sure on the show description you can follow that link tree right there. You can find me. I'm on at the field op on TikTok. Francisco Pacho Correa. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. Hit me up if you got questions. I do a lot of things helping my fellow human. So if you got questions and whatever the case may be, hit me up. Let's have a talk.
Let's have a talk. Wonderful. Well, Francisco, it's been a great joy having you on.
Likewise,
I
man.
I
Thank
hope
you.
to have you on in the future. I'm sure
Yes.
now, and I know for a fact we'll probably be seeing each other much more often. So I love to have people come back. Hopefully you had a good experience and you want
Yeah,
to come
amazing.
back.
Heck yeah, let's go, baby. Let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen. Alrighty. Thank you so much for your time, for your talent, for sharing your treasure, your experiences, your expertise. Thank you for all that.
Thank you so much, Mauro. I appreciate it. Ara, as we say in the military, get some.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your service because we need good men to step up. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, everyone. We'll see you again soon. And thank you for joining us and for your time and attention in this podcast episode. Take care and God bless. Remember, every step of your life is an adventure, and you are the hero of your own story. Don't forget it. Bye bye.